Hi, everyone. Welcome to Story Mantra. I'm Anju Gattani, your host. And today is the first time Story Mantra gets to host an author who just released her debut novel 2 days ago. This fabulous author is, who are you?
C.D'Angelo.
C.D'Angelo. What does CD stand for?
Well, I try to keep it a little bit of a mystery, but I'll tell you, if you really want, I'll tell you my first name.
Okay, let's hear this.
Christine.
There you go, folks. Christine. So, who is Christine D'Angelo? She is a gorgeous, gorgeous psychotherapist who works hard all day, and she's a writer by night. I'm not sure if you get to squeeze some writing during your day. Do you?
No, when I work, no, but on the weekends in the day, yes.
The weekends of the day. So, for those of you who think if you can't write with a full day job, you can. Because look, we have someone who's done it. Yes, you can. So, who is this fabulous woman? Her book came out 2 days ago. It's called The Difference. There we go. Can you hold it up for us?
Sure.
It's a gorgeous cover.
Thank you. And I love how the family ancestry chart goes around the corner.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
To the back, yes. And my cover artist was amazing, and she highlighted beloved Italian, and so it goes to Italy, where the family's from in the book.
Fabulous. It's beautiful.
She was so smart. Yeah.
It's a very happening cover. You can see she's in action, which I really like. So a few things I wanted to share with you about our author today. Christine D'Angelo is an Italian-American author living in Winter Garden, Florida with her husband. She has been a psychotherapist for 20 years and began writing in 2013 to add to her many hobbies, one of which is playing the ukulele, which she's going to share with us in a short minute. She is also a fabulous, I think, creative artist when it comes to drawing, painting, crocheting, cross-stitching, sewing, and any other craft available to try. Soon, writing became more than a hobby, and now her passion and life experience have made their way into her relatable stories of the Italian culture in women's fiction. The Difference is her debut novel, and more stories are on the way. So, Christine, before we even move on, I have to ask you about the ukulele.
I love my ukulele. I call her Ursula.
Oh, she has a name?
She has a name because I feel like Ursula, it's probably because I love that movie, The Little Mermaid, but Ursula was like this very big bodied character. And Ursula, my ukulele, is very small. So I thought it was ironic.
Can we take a look? Can we see Ursula?
Ursula. Wait, let me move the book for a second. Here's Ursula.
Aww.
But guess what? On the back, there's a little surprise.
What is it?
It's
oh my gosh.
Drumming, because I also drum. I use drums in therapy and a lot of music in therapy and art, but I had to integrate my drumming on here too. So
yeah. Play a tune for us, or could you twang a few strings for us?
It is not in tune at all at the moment. It's not in tune. So that's unfortunately all you get.
Stay tuned for the next week's season or the next week episode when she's going to play us a full melody.
Right.
But right now, let's move on to the author behind the book of The Difference. And one of the most fascinating things that grabbed me is the path to publication that Christine endured. And it was quite interesting because she had a path which suddenly switched, not even midway, but just prior to publication. So first of all, Christine, could you talk to me and tell me a little bit about the book, the story, and then what happened in the path to publication?
Sure. Okay, the story is about Rachel, who is a 32-year-old woman living in New York. She has it all on paper. So great apartment, great job as a therapist, of course, and great boyfriend, but she feels a sense of emptiness, and she realizes her relationship with her boyfriend is being destroyed because she is so miserable in herself and other things as well with her. And she goes on an ancestry mission to try to find her roots to help her with her future and to help heal herself. She especially wants to find out about her Italian immigrant grandfather's secretive past. She realizes he never spoke about anything, and she wonders why. So that's kind of what kicks it off.
How does this path to wanting to delve into the past, and without giving the story away, change the fact that she has everything going for her?
I think that, from also my psychological perspective, you need to know yourself. You need to know, usually we aim to know where we came from in some way. So for some people it could mean one thing, for others it could mean diving into their family history and knowing that kind of, history. So she feels something is missing in her and she needs to know this information to help her to be able to know herself more and to feel more comfortable with herself, because she's a person that is very uncomfortable in her own skin. She doesn't look like the stereotypical Italian person. She has red hair, she has freckles on her nose, she's super duper skinny, and she was always kind of made to believe you don't fit in. And she needs this for some healing.
Wow. So that's an immigration perspective right there, which is a lot of the issues I also address in my work. So I'd be really interested to know, having that Italian American background, how does that immigration experience affect her in terms of not knowing or somehow feeling that she doesn't fit in?
Well, she herself wasn't an immigrant. Her grandfather was.
Okay.
So that's one thing. But coming from, and I speak from experience with this because my family, my grandparents were immigrants as well. Coming from an immigrant family, I think there's certain expectations when you are here to be successful and to flourish and to make your family proud. And so Rachel felt that pressure and was doing everything on paper. She had it all, but she just wasn't okay with herself still, and she needed to find out why and what was missing. But I think that's pretty common where people probably come here, in my family anyway, I'll speak for my family, come here seeking kind of the American dream, and there's a lot of barriers to that and a lot of hurdles to overcome, and it can lead to some mental health concerns. Back in the day, people didn't talk about that so much, but now it's more known, thank God, that we can help people.
We can help people. So I understand, and this is another aspect which really fascinates me, everybody. Christina is a psychotherapist and she's practicing. She's got a full practice running, which is her day job. Could you talk to me a little bit about that and how that weaves into the story or the background? Because Rachel is also a practicing psychotherapist.
Yes. With my first book, I really had to write some things from my experience. And I started this book actually in 2013. So it's been a long road for it. And we didn't talk about publication yet, but we'll get there. But yeah, I think, obviously mental health and wellness is so important. And I really wanted to integrate that into this story. And a goal of mine is whatever I do, social media, my books, everything, I want the stories relatable and I want to inspire people. I don't want people to feel alone. And with Rachel in here, she is very anxious and then she verges on some depression as well. And so I think that people who read this can feel like, wow, there was a time I felt like that, or I feel like that right now. And then they can kind of see some of the actions she took and maybe be inspired to help themselves. That is always something that I hope people can take away. And if it's not mental health wise, maybe it's just that she kept on her mission of trying to find out her ancestry, and that will help someone to say, you know what, I can do that major goal that I wanted to always do. So I hope people can take different things out of it like that.
Okay. How much of, and this is a question I'm sure a lot of authors get asked, how much of your own personal experience is woven into the story?
It's very loose. It's like the starting point for some things.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a therapist, I'm a therapist. She has Italian immigrant grandparents, me too. Some of her interests are the same, but the story itself is not at all my life. Her and her boyfriend, not at all my life. The secretive grandfather's past, not at all the things in my family.
Right.
They're not even from the same area of Italy. I made it a completely different region. And excuse me, and that really matters in Italy. Italy's so big, it's very different for north to south and everything like that. So I would say there's some starting points, but it goes way off the rails. It's not at all like me.
Wow. Well, that's good to know that, and this is something that all authors, I think here, and which I don't always agree with, write what you know. Um, from my experience and what I've been through, I would say start with what you know and then follow where the story goes. Is
Yeah,
is like,
exactly.
is that how you kind of felt about your relationship with the book?
Yes, very much so. I'm a planner. So in the like writing community, we talk a lot about do you plan it out ahead of time or do you kind of just see what happens? I plan it, but I only plan the main points and then I just see what happens when I start writing because I need that creative space. I can't be so in a box when I'm writing. So that makes sense for me and that's my process.
Mhm. So tell us a little bit about the writing process that you go through, because I did go to your blog, and I understand you are probably one of the most best planners that I have seen. You categorize, and I saw your stuff, and I was like, oh boy, she sounds like me because you categorize your emails into folders, which is what I do.
Yes.
You use post-its, and you use colored post-its, which is something I do as well. And then you have folders all over your desktop in which you categorize and drop things, and you only check information on your inbox and leave it there if it needs to be addressed. When it's
Yep.
addressed, then you put it in your folder. So when I read that, I was like, that sounds just like me. I do the same thing because I keep forgetting things. So
Yes.
how does your planning strata work with your writing, the writing process?
Oh, yes. And let me tell you, at this moment, my emails are out of control. That is a weekend task for me right now. I need to get them back in order. And like, yes, it's like I can't handle chaos in life like that. And I know it sounds so silly, but it makes me feel organized, which then brings me peace. So anyway, when I write, basically, I have found that my process is I plan out the story with what the plot is, who the main character is, so not even the side characters, and then what is kind of hindering the person from getting to where they want to be, so the stakes in a book. And so I definitely want those main points, and you need a conflict in a book, you need
Right.
something for them to go up against, right? But then you also need what happens if they don't reach that, because that's like kind of the essence of the story. And so I map that out. And then when I write, I have a few points that I leave under my actual typing that I'm doing of what I think would come. Oh, what I think would come next. I talk with my hands. I'm very Italian. Um, what I think would come next, and then I also usually have under there a few points that I need to integrate in. Like in this book, I have her say some mantras. So one of them is to help motivate herself to keep saying to herself, I will know, I will know. So like, I will know the secret. And I have certain things under there. So I keep remembering to integrate that in here and there because I'll forget.
Yeah.
And so to tie it through the story. So then when I write whatever the points are, I erase those points. And then when I stop writing for the day, I usually write a few things to come back to the next time because I'm in the flow and I'm thinking about it, but I'm kind of done writing for the day. So when I come back, I open up the document and there's the 3 points or so, maybe there's 4, and then the things to integrate in as well. So that kind of helps me to stay on track. And then I also, at the end of the writing session, put the main points in a general outline. So I can always know, okay, this chapter, this happened, this chapter, this happened. Because it's just too much when you're writing a whole book to remember every little thing you're doing. And I'm such a detailed person, I don't want to forget anything.
Yeah. So that brings me to my next question. What would your advice be? I mean, usually I ask this at the end, but anyway, I'm going to ask it now. What would your advice be to, new writers or even, someone who's thinking of writing their book? Because your debut just came out 2 days ago, which is woohoo, congratulations.
Thank you.
But
I'm so excited.
Yeah, I know. And I just love the fact that, you're the first author we've had who's coming on just 2 days after release. So it's exciting for us.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So what's your advice for people who, want to write a book, but there's just information all over the place. There's clutter everywhere. How do they start?
I would go back to organizing. So
Yeah.
I would probably and what I did do, I have a document that says ideas for just loose ideas that I want to write and integrate into the story. Then I have a document that says research. So if there is something I really need to research and I don't know a lot about, I have facts in there that I have found, and I like would put the sources, the links, so I can go back to it and things like that. And then I do start an outline, so I have that document ready to go, and then I have my like, it's different than the ideas. Then I have the document that is like the problem and the stakes and about the main character. Like I would describe the main character, and then I might start, when I'm ready to write, like describing the secondary characters and things like that. So I have like different documents ready to go. So then when I start writing, I have everything there and I can keep referring back.
Okay, so I definitely like to ask you more about your primary, secondary characters, and maybe we can keep that for later. But one thing I definitely wanted to ask was your path to publication. There was a major turning point. Would you talk to us about it and share what you can?
Sure. Yes. I was with a small press for about a year and a half, and I learned a lot, and it was a lot of great experiences. But in the last few months, it really wasn't the best place for me to stay anymore, for me to get this book out there. And so I had to make a really hard decision and was able to leave, get my rights back, and now I self-published this book. I didn't expect that. That was never in my plan. But it was a really great choice for me. And now here we are. So it was a lot of obstacles. It's, some legal stuff going on there, but now we're all good. And I wanted this done in such a short time because I had started it, remember, in 2013. It was I just want it out there. I'm so ready. And so the stages of editing that I was still in, I made a decision. I was like, okay, I'm going to pull this together. And I reached out to my friends that are also writers. They saved me with, okay, this is my editor. This is who I use to format it. This is what I do when I put it on Amazon. This is how I do this. Like everything involved in self-publishing. And there is a lot of steps. I had to figure that out. And seriously, in about a week, I had to figure all of this out. I had to figure out the plan, figure out how to do it, how to coordinate schedules with people, because all different professionals have, they're busy. They have appointments with other people.
Sure.
And I was so lucky to find the beautiful people that I found. They were great. And I got it all done on time. I picked this date, based on their schedules and what we could do. And I just worked nonstop. I mean, it was really rough, but I knew I had to do it to get this done, which was my major goal. I wanted it out this summer.
Wow. So to have figured all of that out in a week is really astonishing, because there's so much that goes into getting a book out. I can't even imagine how you did it in a week. But here's a question that I'm waiting to, and I'm sure some other viewers would have as well. What are the signals that you need to rethink the plan that you're currently going with, or that something doesn't feel right? Because I know we have a lot of people who ask that question when they're with agents, in terms of, is this the right agent for me? Or I'm with an agent, this doesn't feel right. But with an editor, what are the, points to make you stop and think?
I think you have to listen to your gut. First of all, you as a person you have a sense. We're able to tell, maybe in our stomachs, maybe in our heads, maybe with a different physical sensation, your body's trying to let you know something's not right. I need to rethink this. And sometimes, most of the time, I think we try to ignore it because, for me, I was with someone for a while and I was like, but I want this to happen, but it just wasn't the right thing for this book. And so I think listening to that is very important. And also just knowing your goals, because we all have different goals in this writing world as authors. It really matters to some people for you to be with a small press or an agent and a big publisher, or maybe it doesn't matter to you. Maybe you don't care about selling and you just want to write. Like, everyone's goals are different. And I had to recheck my own goals and knew that I had to make a decision because it wasn't matching my goals anymore.
Sure. And that takes a lot of confidence and self-awareness to be able to say, okay, this isn't right. I'm going to pull the plug and make a change. So how would you say the community of writers supported you? Like you already mentioned in terms of they were able to guide you. But for people who are still thinking about which organizations to join, how much to participate in, what's your advice to them about writing communities?
Oh gosh, it's priceless for the amount of support that you get. Um, I have friends that I've made that are really good friends now, like you're one of the people I talk to, and I trust with being able to get help from you if I have a question or something like that.
Yeah.
So Instagram and Twitter, very big, some friends from Facebook as well. And then I'm in the Women's Fiction Writers Association, and they're amazing. They have so much help for everything you can possibly imagine. And when I decided to change my path, I reached out to some people, and right away they said, oh, okay, you know, in the Women's Fiction Writers Association, do you know this person? Because that happened to them too. Why don't you talk to them? And then one thing led to another. Like that's how, like, I talked to someone who then gave me the name of another writer who then gave me the name of the cover artist. Like, it's just, you know, everybody, like, and these are people that you can trust. Even though I didn't know that middle person, I knew I could trust the first person. And so I'm going to say, okay, you know, she must be a good person. So it's just, you need other people in this field. You need to know other people's experiences. It's very important to know who you're getting into business with.
Wow. Well, before we, end the first interview session with you, which has been great because I've learned so much in terms of just the confidence needed to make a snap decision and run with it. What would your advice be in terms of one publishing industry experience that you could share, and then after that, possibly a query tip?
Oh, publishing experience. Well, I'm going to just talk about the self-publishing now. I would say start very early with loading your documents onto sites, and don't hit the Amazon paperback live button for probably like a week beforehand is okay. But before that, it gets a little dicey because it's, you know, you start getting sales before the actual date, and I love it that people are so supportive, but I was trying really hard for this is the release date, you know. So that was just something, me personally, because I wanted to try to get my sales ranking up on Amazon, which I did hit #1 so far 4 times.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm so excited for #1 new release on Amazon and in certain categories. And so I would say that, but some sites that you're loading to take like 6 to 8 weeks to get it fully populated into different stores, basically. Like the library on Overdrive, it took a good 6 to 7 weeks. So you want to do that. And then a query tip. Well, you know, I maybe can talk about this again, but I have a pitch party business that is called Pitch Party Prosperity. It is how I got that contract with the small press for Twitter parties, mostly Twitter, that happen, and getting yourself into the space where agents, editors, and publishers want to see your query. Pitch parties are a very good thing to do. So you write your pitch. I can help you with that. I have a ebook and evaluation services and coaching services, because every time I did a pitch party, I was very successful. So I love doing that and helping people. That is an area that a lot of people don't know about that you can use, and it's free, and you just throw your pitch out there. Of course, very strategized pitch writing and the strategy of the day, but you throw it out there, you get some interest. If they want it, you send your query package. So that is very powerful.
Well, wonderful. So in our next session with Christina, we're going to talk more about the pitch party power, because I'm sure that can help many of you out there. Also, how she weaves her perspective as a therapist in her story, and her social media, because she's very strong on social media, inspiring people, sharing video clips, creating them, putting them out, which I can imagine takes a lot of time and energy, a lot of creativity, because none of her videos or clips are the same as the ones before. Every time it's different. So we're going to talk about that in next week's episode. So thank you so much, Christina, and for hitting the Amazon #1 bestsellers list. That's fabulous.
Thank you.
And we will have the link to the purchase of her book, The Difference, below the video. Also, her link to her website. So you can always jump in, hop on, catch her on all the social media, and chime in with Christine whatever platform works for you and her both. So thank you everyone for joining us on Story Mantra, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.